Founded in 1996, the California Indian Museum and Cultural Center provides education about the history, culture, and contemporary life of California Indians from a Native perspective. The museum showcases and encourages the present-day renaissance of California Indian culture, affirming its survival and continued vitality in the face of extreme diversity. Nicole Myers-Lim, Executive Director of the California Indian Museum and Cultural Center, explores the history of California's indigenous people and the ancient trails used by the tribe since time immemorial, which later became the Juan Bautista de Anza National Historic Trail. She highlights the museum's role in cultural revitalization and its significance for both Native youth and elders.
My name is Nicole Myers-Lim. I'm the director of the California Indian Museum and Cultural Center located in Santa Rosa, California. In our area, Sonoma, Lake, and Mendocino counties in Northern California, we have 24 Pomo and Miwok tribes, and I'm Pomo and Miwok. Our museum was established in 1996. Our goal is to educate the public about the history and cultures of all of California's tribes from a Native perspective. We focus quite a bit on oral history and storytelling. Well, California has had several waves of genocide and colonization. Spanish came and established missions in the 1700s, and their focus was finding the most densely populated areas of indigenous people north of Mexico City. So they established 21 missions throughout the state of California. And I know that the trail that was used by Spanish soldiers, the Anza Trail, was originally Indian Trail. Our Native people used those trails to go between different tribal villages. And it was very common that we would have folks that spoke 4 to 7 different tribal languages throughout California. And those trails were heavily used by our Native people since time immemorial. We have to realize that our tribal culture persisted and survived, and despite efforts of colonization and genocide, our Native people were able to be savvy and find ways to protect and adapt it. And so today we have a lot of information about our tribal folks who lived in the missions. We have tribal language, we have tribal music, and we have tribal art. And all of that is a sign of their resistance and persistence. I would like people to know that this is a living museum, that we're wanting to educate our community about history, but we're very also focused on creating community resources. So we have a very wonderful tribal youth program that's been together since 2010. They're the Tribal Youth Ambassadors, and they've created all kinds of resources from Pomo language apps that you can download on your iPhone, to beautiful maps that show 100 California Indians you should know. And they also created a lot of resources around traditional foods and researching our traditional foods and finding ways to adapt policy and engage in cultural learning and document oral history so that the next generation of youth will not have to recreate the wheel, so to speak. And so our youth, we're very proud of them, that they're able to engage with the Cultural Center in a way that creates foundations and stepping stones for future generations. Our museum tagline, the California Indian Museum and Cultural Center, is about weaving Native culture into the future. And as a young Pomo Miwok kid growing up in this county, having had grandparents that were sent to boarding schools and having kind of suffered the violence and kind of self-loathing around assimilation efforts, I really thought that it was critical to create a place where Native youth had an opportunity to learn about their history and their culture, and where our elders and our grandparents and our aunts and uncles could see that culture and that pride being celebrated. And so that's really the spirit of our museum. It's about our history and our past, but also our present and future. And so we'll always continue to work to build resources around cultural revitalization and support our youth in terms of our culture being dynamic. You know, many people look at the past, our Native culture, the beauty of it, of our survival and resistance is that it's living and it's being redefined into the future. And so we're here to support Native youth as they make those decisions moving forward.